Hi everybody. Problem 2 was, generally speaking, pretty good. This was a typical answer. There's actually two things that can be improved about this. But before we do that, let's just look at it. So we've got the names array, we've got the adjectives array, we create a new string array that's 100 elements long. We loop over the phrases array. This generates a random number between 0 and 3, and we use that as the index to the names array, similarly for adjectives, and then we add the name and the adjective together and assign it to the element of phrases. Okay, so very few people, I think, actually ran this to see what the output looks like, but let's run it and see what the output looks like. And here we go. I hope that you're noticing that this does not look the way that we would hope that it looks. This says Doctor of the Fallow, Behemoth the Somewhat Large, but as you see, there's no space between the name and the adjective phrase. So what I would have hoped that a lot of people would have done is insert the space so that way the output looks the way that you would want it to look. I think the general lesson here is don't try and sort of just blindly follow the narrow requirements of the assignment. Like, you're going to get the most out of it as a programmer by trying to make the absolute best code that you can in all circumstances. So along those lines, this for kind of technically works, but this code is what I refer to as fragile code. It's fragile because if we imagine that this was a much larger program where these are declared at the top and this is somewhere further down, you might want to add another name here. But you might forget that when you add a name here, in order to get a random value from the names array, now you're going to have to increase this to 5. That sort of thing is very common. And that's the sense in which I mean that it's fragile. Like, if you make a change, it's very, very likely to cause this bug because it requires that you remember that these two things are connected together. So the way to fix the fragile code is don't use for, which just happens to be the length of this array right now. What you really want to say is names.length. So that way, if you make the names array longer, this will automatically be the number that you want it to be. So this similarly should be adjectives.length. And now I'm screwing it all up. Okay, here we go. All right, so now that that's all in place, I run it. We see the output looks good, and it's correctly included the new element, Mr. D, here. So this, to my mind, is a much better solution than the original one. Okay, let's do the next one.